Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. These two were the other two demons who were in the sacrificial formation with Shang, talismans and spears. Wing quickly caught up. At that moment, Xian Bing, who was still unconscious, suddenly let out a scream. His face was completely purple from pain, and there was no light in his eyes other than fear. It was accompanied by Yuan Sun's sinister laughter. Both Mu Wu and Tang Jie's faces changed drastically, turning pale and their stomachs churning. The 6 monster race cultivators were still calm and expressionless. They paid no attention to the screams and laughter coming from behind them. "Kill me, just kill me." Woo woo. Shang suddenly said, "Kill him after the interrogation." Li's eyelids twitched, "Kill that pervert?" Shang smiled, "No, it's that scream. That abnormal physique is quite interesting. Although it's not a divine body, it's actually a fusion of human and demon bloodlines. His ancestors must be from our demon race." Li's pupils shrank and she said in surprise, "Mother? A human demon?" Soon after, Xian Bing's last scream was heard, and the silence returned. Mu Wu had already vomited so much that he was beyond recognition. Killing intent burst out from his eyes as he thought to himself that he would definitely kill that transvestite after he recovered his strength. All this time, the trauma he had suffered was permanent. Li slowed down and returned to the back. Soon, he heard a tearing sound and Xian Bing's head rolled off the chariot. Yuan Sun seemed to be a little displeased. "How can you kill people as you please? I'm having a lot of fun." Li's eyes shot out a ray of light as he looked Yuan Sun up and down. He recalled the apparent body that Shang had mentioned, and found it hard to believe. Ignoring Yuan Sun, he caught up to the front and reported, "Lord Shang, I've got it. It's because of Noah's ship that a large number of forces have begun to infiltrate the demon land." Tang Jie's heart trembled, and his eyes revealed a look of disbelief. "Oh?" Shang looked at Tang Jie with a smile and said, "Has the news been leaked?" "Impossible." Tang Jie's face turned extremely ugly as he said, "This matter is extremely confidential, and it's also for the safety of the information that I came to the Gentle Song Woodland alone and became your captive. My 4 Extreme sect has always been on good terms with the skeleton mercenaries. How dare you treat me like this?" he said angrily. "The skeleton mercenaries are probably in the past," Mr. Yu suddenly said. Tang Jie's pupils contracted slightly, but he remained silent. He had also noticed the changes in the skeleton mercenary group. In the past, Shen Feng had been in charge of everything, but now that Shen Feng had disappeared, he had actually turned into these demons. However, he was born in the Merchant Union, so he was still smart. He smiled and said, "It doesn't matter if it's the skeleton mercenaries or others. There were no eternal conflicts in this world, only eternal interests. As the young master of the 4 Extremes sect, I would like to befriend all of you. Although the monster race is powerful, the 4 Extremes sect is not too far behind." "You told me about this sect," Shang laughed, looking at him. "To be honest, they're far from qualified to work with me." "They're far from it." Tang Jie was furious. The name of the 4 Extremes sect was well known on the entire heavenly martial continent. Even humans and ghosts would give them some face. Even the divine capital of the holy region would not mock him so rashly. He cursed the ancestors of the monster race in his heart before saying, "Although the illusory realm of stars and moon is forbidden, the demon clan is not strong enough to ignore the Merchant Union, is it?" "The Merchant Union?" Shang's smile was mesmerizing, and he said softly, "If you want to work with me, I wonder if the so-called divine capital of the holy region of your human race is qualified." How arrogant. Ignorant. Mu Wu couldn't help but laugh and mock, "Just a few pieces of trash like you, I don't know what kind of demonic arts you used to be able to defeat a few low-ranked revered martial artists, and you think that you're the only one in the world. Let alone the divine capital of the holy region, any one of the 7 superpowers could easily crush you to death. Even flattening the illusory realm of stars and moon would not be a difficult task. The smile on Shang's face disappeared, but he did not get angry. Whether I'm arrogant or ignorant, you humans will soon know. Let's go and find the eternal evergreen tree. Then, we'll go and get the supreme grade profound artifact, Noah's boat. I'm also very interested to see the transcendent grade profound level weapons that you humans have refined. Mu Wu was speechless. He had never seen such a narcissistic person, as if Noah's ship was already in his pocket. Just as they were flying at full speed, Yi Qing and the other's netherworld battleship were also giving chase. Yunqiao and the people from the Hall of Holy Fire soon arrived at the place where the Flying Frost sect had been attacked. Looking at the corpses and wolves all over the ground, their faces turned grave. Tranche carefully examined it and said with a pale face, "What a cruel method. He really died without an intact corpse." Yi Fan swallowed his saliva with difficulty. He walked carefully on the ground, afraid of touching the remains of the corpse. Feng Zhu snorted heavily and said, "Although these people are despicable, the person who killed them is even more abnormal. There's no corpse of that 3 stars Marshal Supreme here. He must have escaped." Tranche's face turned pale, and after retching for a while, he said, "Are these perverted murderers our opponents?" Yi Fan looked at Yun Xiao, who was staring at the crashed Golden Sun warship. He walked over and said, "Young Master Yun, did you find anything?" Yun Xiao pointed at the crack on the warship and said coldly, "The Golden Sun warship was split in half by a sword." "What?" Feng Zhu jumped up in shock and hurriedly came over to touch the cut with his hand. His face became uglier and uglier as he said in horror, 7th grade Golden Sun battleship, split open with one sword. What kind of person has such strength? Yun Xiao closed his eyes slightly and raised his head to feel it. The faint aura that remained in the air was the demonic qi that he was extremely familiar with. It's him indeed. Yun Xiao opened his eyes, and a fierce light flashed in them as he said coldly, "A member of the Skeleton Mercenary Corps from the demon race you." He stood on the spot and continued to sense, saying in a deep voice, "And there's more than one demonic qi. It's extremely strong. It looks like we're about to catch up." Everyone began to feel nervous. Looking at the wreckage on the ground, they had to face such a pervert. Their breathing became heavy. Yi Fan hesitated. He suddenly asked, "Young Master Yun, do you think we have a chance of winning?" Yun Xiao sneered, "What? Didn't they want to blow up the blockhouses one by one to block the muzzle? Why are you afraid now? You don't even want the glory of your ancestors?" Yi Fan's face turned red from his words. He said resolutely, "And not bad. At worst, we'll just die, there's nothing to be afraid of." When the people of the Hall of Holy Fire mustered their courage and were about to give chase again, a battleship flew over at an extremely fast speed in the distance, heading exactly where they were standing. Everyone's heart trembled, and they all became vigilant. Among the many forces in the demon planes, even if their strength was not at the bottom, they were probably close. Yun Xiao looked over and saw that it was an 8th-tier Netherworld warship, with a huge blue symbol on it. The people of the Merchant Union have come in as expected. This is the warship of the Empyrean 1 Pavilion. The Netherworld battleship stopped in front of them. A beautiful woman wearing a long palace dress stood on the bow of the ship and said coldly, "Who are you people?" She looked over one by one, and when she saw the corpses all over the ground, she couldn't help but frown, revealing a sharp look. Fearing that the people of the Temple of Holy Fire would say something wrong, Yun Xiao said, "First, we're from a newbie mercenary group. Are you guys experts from Empyrean 1 Pavilion? Rookie mercenary group?" The palace maid frowned and said to the people on the battleship, "Shenli, come and see if you recognize these people." A familiar figure appeared at the bow of the battleship and exclaimed, "Young Master Yun." Yun Xiao was also a little surprised. He did not expect Shenli to come as well. Her strength was of no use at all. She must be familiar with the terrain, which was why the Empyrean 1 Pavilion had asked her to come. Yun Xiao waved his hand as a greeting and said with a smile, "Big Sister Shen is here too. It seems like we are all on the same side." A wry smile appeared on Shenli's face. If she only looked at Yun Xiao's sunny and handsome appearance, she would definitely think that he was a harmless and sunny teenager. However, she knew in her heart that there was a hidden terror under this appearance. Whether it was his schemes, means, or strength, he was far above her. She whispered in the ear of the beautiful woman in the palace dress. The beautiful woman's brows kept frowning and a thoughtful expression appeared on her face. So, you're the famous Li Yunxiao. You were the city lord of Yanwu. How did you become a member of the rookie mercenary group? Why are you here in the demon land now? The beautiful woman asked, her eyes cold and her expression condescending. Yunxiao kept his charming smile and said, the southern mountain range is a godforsaken place, how can you make a name for yourself? That's why I came out to try my luck and see if there are any big sects willing to take me in. I accidentally joined a rookie mercenary group. As for why I came to the demon land, I'm just asking the obvious. The beautiful woman's face turned cold and she angrily shouted, did you leak the news of Noah's ship? Other than the Four Extremes sect and the descendants of the martial Emperor Yinantian, only the Empyrean One Pavilion knows about it. After Xinli went to you, everyone knows about it. She raised her eyebrows and saw the people beside Yunxiao. Her eyes stopped on Fengzhu and Qi Guang as she snorted coldly and said, the newbie mercenary group has some skills, their cultivation isn't bad. Shenli frowned. She felt that everyone in the Hall of Holy Fire was a stranger to her. She had been in the Gentle Song Forest for a long time, so she basically knew all the experts above the rank of a martial emperor, not to mention the existence of a martial honor. These people were obviously not from the rookie mercenary group. She was about to explain to the beautiful woman, but Yunxiao snorted and said, the beautiful women of Empyrean One Pavilion can eat whatever they want, but one of them will die if they eat the wrong food. You can't say things carelessly. If you say something wrong, your entire family will die. The beautiful woman in the palace dress was stunned, her eyes narrowing slightly. After pondering for a moment, she said, on your way here, did you see anyone from the other forces? Where did the people from the skeleton mercenary group go? Yunxiao put on a proud and frivolous look as he snorted, why should I tell you? In fact, he was very happy in his heart. He was just worried that he couldn't beat the people of the skeleton mercenary group, and the heavens immediately sent a group of experts. He had to make good use of them. Anger appeared on the beautiful woman's face, but as if she had thought of something, she eased up and revealed a rare smile. You little brat, you're just trying to fish for some benefits. That Noah's ship isn't something you can peep at. The Empyrean One Pavilion can give you some other benefits. Yunxiao said with a smile, that's right, we just want benefits. Why don't we have a good talk? You have the Netherworld battleship, but we can only rely on our legs to run across the demon land. The beautiful woman was 34 years old. Although she was no longer young, her charm was still there. Her smile had a charming, the Heavenly One Pavilion has always been hospitable. If you don't mind, please come up and have a chat. Shen Li's brows furrowed slightly, as if she felt that something was wrong. However, this beautiful woman was one of the people in charge of the Empyrean One Pavilion in the western region. She was her direct superior and could not afford to offend her. Yunxiao showed a look of joy as he boarded the warship, but he was sneering in his heart. This beautiful woman treated him like a child, and he was happy to play the pig to eat the tiger. Everyone from the Temple of Holy Fire was a little hesitant. If they went up, it would be no different from entering a tiger's den. But if they did not cooperate with Yunxiao, their identities would be exposed immediately, and a fierce battle would ensue. That beautiful woman's strength wasn't any weaker than Feng and Qi, and with this netherworld battleship, only the heavens knew if there were other experts. After hesitating for a moment, they also boarded the netherworld warship one by one. The smile on the beautiful woman's face became even happier, and her eyes narrowed, but a bright light flashed through them. The situation in the demon land was getting more and more complicated. He didn't expect to meet the mercenary group of these hot-headed young men, and their strength was not bad. As long as he gave them some benefits, they could be used as cannon fodder. The beautiful woman in the palace dress was calculating quickly, and Xinli also seemed to have noticed something. She knew Yunxiao's means very well, and he was definitely not this reckless young man. She wanted to warn her, but he was afraid of the prestige of the beautiful woman and was afraid of embarrassing the other party, so she shut his mouth. However, she secretly became vigilant, and once he found something wrong, she would immediately warn her. The warship was very large, and there were many powerful auras hidden on it. With a slight probe of his divine sense, Yunxiao had roughly figured out the situation on board. Soon, the beautiful woman led everyone to a gorgeous meeting hall, which was used to entertain important guests. The ground was made of gold, and the walls were inlaid with jewels. It was a magnificent sight. However, to martial artists, these secular things were not worth their attention. They were only used to show off their luxury. However, there was a long oval table inside, and the flowers of the 4 seasons were in full bloom. They were all rare species in the realm of heavenly martial arts, and many of them were even natural treasures. There were also some low-level martial will Dao fruits, ranging from the 1 origin realm to the 4 symbols realm. Not only were they rich in spiritual energy, but they also emitted martial will. The rhythmic fluctuations emitted by the martial will Dao fruit shocked everyone from the Temple of Holy Fire. Although this kind of low-grade Dao fruit was of no use to them, it was definitely more valuable than some high-grade profound-level weapons. After all, many direct descendants of major forces could consume it, and their cultivation would progress at a tremendous pace. Many powers would permanently purchase it in large quantities, and there had always been a demand but no supply. The beautiful woman looked at everyone's surprised expressions and felt very proud and happy. She smiled and said, "Shenli, you and the city lord of Cloud Sky City are old friends. Go and get some spirit fruits to entertain everyone." In her opinion, these were all country bumpkins who had entered the city and would be fooled by her later on. Wah! It's actually a martial will Dao fruit. With an exaggerated expression on his face, Yunxiao looked extremely shocked, and his face was flushed as he said in a hurry, "No need, no need. Your sect is too polite. I'll just eat these martial will Dao fruits." After he finished speaking, he plucked a 4 symbols Dao fruit and placed it in his mouth. He swallowed it without even chewing and then another one. "You can just eat these martial will Dao fruits." Not only the beautiful woman and Shenli, but everyone in the Hall of Holy Fire was also stunned. He actually ate the martial will Dao fruit like a fruit? Heavens! That was a martial will Dao fruit, born from the gathering of the laws of heaven and earth. Every one of them was a work of art that could not be bought with money. Any one of them could stir up a storm of blood outside, but he said that eating the martial will Dao fruit would do. He even seems to have suffered a grievance and is very modest. While the beautiful woman was still in a daze, Yunxiao had already swallowed all the 3-4 symbols realm Dao fruits, and then he plucked 2-3 talents realm Dao fruits in each hand and put them in his mouth. He sneered in his heart. "Acting rich in front of me, watch me eat until I go crazy." Arg. Don't. The beautiful woman finally let out a scream, her face ashen. Her eyes burned with rage, and her body trembled like a sieve. The 3-4 symbols realm Dao fruits that Yunxiao had just eaten were worth millions of primordial stones just by the heaven and earth spiritual energy contained in them, not to mention the condensed martial intent. She felt the world spin around her, and she could barely stand. Country bumpkins, what a bunch of country bumpkins. You actually ate my martial will Dao fruit like a fruit. Her heart was dripping blood. Gulp. Yunxiao casually swallowed one of the 3 talents realm Dao fruits, then picked another one. Only then did he look surprised and ask, "What's wrong? Was there something wrong with this fruit? I think it's quite delicious." He swallowed one and stuffed it into his mouth, showing an expression that it tasted good. The beautiful woman in the palace dress couldn't stand still and hurriedly held the wall beside her. In addition to dizziness, she was also panting heavily. Losing so many Dao fruits at once, even with her status, she couldn't avoid punishment. She wanted to stop him again, but she realized that the 3 talents realm Dao fruits had all been used up. The other party had already begun to eat the 2 division realms Dao fruits. Everyone was completely petrified, and their minds went blank. Yunxiao had eaten more than 10 of them one after another. The beautiful woman only felt that she couldn't even speak. She was paralyzed on the wall, not even having the strength to lift her feet. Burp. In a few moments, he had eaten all 20 or so martial will Dao fruits. He even burped in satisfaction and laughed, delicious, delicious. As expected of the Empyrean One Pavilion, they even used Marshal Wildau fruits to entertain their guests. He had money and face. This kind of spirit is probably one of a kind in this world. He shouted at the people of the Holy Fire Hall, am I right? Everyone. Everyone in the Hall of Holy Fire was drenched in cold sweat. Although the beautiful woman's face was pale and her aura seemed to have dried up, the murderous look in her eyes made them all feel cold in their hearts and their palms were sweating. No, your sister. The people of the Temple of Holy Fire felt the killing intent of the beautiful woman in palace dress and almost cried. This was their territory, and you ate so many of their Marshal Wildau fruits. If we don't kill you, even we won't be happy. The worst thing is that we've been implicated. We didn't do anything. With a long face, they could only nod in agreement. Great. Yunxiao said with satisfaction, it's really great. I'll definitely come to your Empyrean One Pavilion as a guest often. N. The beautiful woman in the palace dress snorted and a mouthful of blood rushed up her throat and flowed out from the corner of her mouth. She took out a silk handkerchief and gently wiped it. His heart was in an extreme battle. Endure, endure, he must endure. Whether it was looking for the skeleton mercenaries or that matter, he had to rely on these country bumpkins to hold back. Yunxiao asked in surprise, what's wrong with you? Why is your face changing so much? The beautiful woman's face alternated between red and white as if she was cultivating some kind of cultivation technique. When she heard Yunxiao's words, she was so angry that her entire head turned red, and she almost burned. Suddenly, a faint light shone from Yunxiao's body, and the will of a martial grandmaster of 6 directions realm spread out. Yunxiao only felt that his mind was clear, and the primordial qi in his body was surging like a river, getting more and more powerful, breaking through some barriers in front of him. After circulating the qi in his body, it returned to his dantian. A brand new power spread to every part of his body, and his 5 senses and 6 senses were completely renewed. After swallowing more than 20 low-level Marshal Wildau fruits, he had advanced directly and easily broken through to the 2 stars Martial Grandmaster realm. His power was still increasing, and it only stopped when he reached the peak of the 2 stars Martial Grandmaster. Phew, I actually broke through. It's so good. Yunxiao looked pleased and said gratefully, thank you for your hospitality with the Dao fruit, my lord. It actually saved me so much time in closed-door cultivation and directly advanced. Thank you, my lord. Thank you, Empyrean One Pavilion. Pfft. The beautiful woman couldn't hold on any longer, and after her face turned red, she spat out a mouthful of blood. The killing intent in her eyes seemed to have materialized, and the bones in her hands were about to burst. Endure. 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 She shouted the word endure 3 times in her heart and finally suppressed the anger. She then revealed a smile that was uglier than crying and said, congratulations, Chan, congratulations to the Cloud Sky City Lord. She forced a smile, and her originally beautiful face was distorted badly, making her look very funny. Yunxiao sneered in his heart, who asked you to show off in front of me? However, he still looked flattered and hurriedly said, same to you, same to you. Same joy. The beautiful woman felt an extremely irritable negative emotion spread in her body and began to destroy her meridians. She knew that this was an emotional backlash from suppressing her anger, which was extremely harmful to her cultivation. Fortunately, her strength was profound. She gently covered her mouth with a silk handkerchief and secretly swallowed a medicinal pill to resolve the power of the backlash. Shenli couldn't stand it anymore. She felt that if this continued, the Empyrean One Pavilion would suffer a great loss. She hurriedly stepped forward and reminded Lady Qingluo, this brat is clearly doing this on purpose. Don't be fooled by his hot-headed appearance. He's actually very cunning, and his methods are vicious and his mind meticulous. She pointed at the people from the Sacred Fire Hall and said, also, these people are not Bayan.